On this episode of the Esports Meta.
It's like Mario Kart or it's like Super Smash Brothers, right? With like items on.
We both played the beta and we both thought this game was kind of a joke. All right, so
I'm just pulling it out of my butt.
This Friday, January 31st, my birthday, little birthday treat. Welcome to the Esports Meta podcast, your place for competitive video games and news and highlights. I'm your host, Billy Sims, here with our very first episode of 2025. We've had 37 in the bag in 2024. It was a great year, a great way for us to express our love and passion for esports, but now we're back in 2025, ready to hit it hard, grind out, and make it even better. Today we've got a pretty big episode, but it's pretty simple. We're just going to start looking over everything we're expecting coming up in the year 2025 for esports and competitive video gaming. I've got a ton to talk about. We're going to be talking about League of Legends, the new LTA, I think it's called, North and South, what's going on there. Week 1 just started. We'll have some scores. We'll have some highlights. We'll have some talking points. OWCS has kicked off open qualifiers, and this weekend is also the first weekend of regular season. So we'll go over the details for that, what to expect, the drama you missed, maybe on purpose, maybe by accident. But we'll be talking about it a little bit here. We'll also be covering up some of these news stories like Marvel Rivals. What are they doing competitively? How's that been? We're in season 1 of the official launch, almost 2 months into the game. How's it looking? How's it feeling? We'll talk about our opinions on that, and we want to hear yours. This podcast is an interactive podcast, so if you're out there in Candyland watching us, come on down, join us, message us in chat, message us on our social media. We're glad to have the discussion and the conversation with you. But to have the discussion and the conversation, I'm going to need my co-host, Nicholas Layton. Let's bring them on in. Nick, how you doing today? Oh, I always get you right as you're about to sip some coffee, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, man. Like perfect timing. Good job.
I do.
Good job.
Sorry, go ahead, man.
No, it's fine. Sip your coffee. We'll do it in silence.
Yeah.
There you go.
We should
swallow.
We should hard pivot this podcast into the coffee and tea sipping podcast, where we both smugly just drink our beverages of choice.
Now we're just going to go into DeepSeek AI. We're now an AI podcast.
Yeah.
Like, hey, dude, so like we got to do it. We got to jump on that train. We're late as fuck for esports. Like, might as well jump on the AI train. Everybody else is doing it, right?
Let's do it, man. Let's push some meme coin crypto and jump on the AI train. Absolutely. But speaking of Chinese AIs, I think we got to start off by talking about Marvel Rivals, man. It's published by NetEase, big Chinese company, big China company. Have you gotten a chance to play it? Have you been, keeping up with all the stuff happening with it?
No, I've played it. It pains me to say that it's a pretty decent game overall. It's not too bad. It's super fun. And that's like the way that I equate it is it's Mario Kart. It's like Mario Kart or it's like Super Smash Brothers, right? With like items on. Like, and everybody knows what I'm talking about right there. And if you don't, if you're like one of those people who's like, yo, you need to play with items in Super Smash Brothers. Like first, like go jump in lava. And like second, like no. But anyway, that's how it feels. It feels like Overwatch is like Smash competitive. And then like this is like Smash with like items on it. It's super fun. And like you play with your boys, you play with your friends. Like it's a really good, solid sit down. Hey, let's play, get a couple matches in, guys. Yeah.
I think that analogy is kind of perfect where, Marvel Rivals is like Super Smash Bros. With items on, where there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of personality, and that's the charm of the game, right? Like, I do feel like that's going to be a little bit of like you're kind of saying, the competitive disadvantage. People are going to play it competitively, play it seriously, but like, it is definitely straying away from that like CSGO sort of like everybody's on neutral ground sort of mindset of a tactical shooter. It's not meant to be. It's got like 34, 37 characters or something already. And like each one has a unique play style, mechanics, etc. Like there's going to be so much chaos and just the easiest way to say it is there's going to be a lot of charm. The nice way of saying it is going to be a lot of personality with each hero. The hero fantasy is fantastic, but man, dude, it is going to be so chaotic trying to like not have a, you know, GOATS comp, just GOATS meta, just dominate like an era, you know, the patch notes just swinging pendulums of like Storm is trash, but now Storm is like, a must pick, you gotta, you know, pick her kind of stuff, driving metas and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how it continues. Season 0, Season 1 have been pretty strong so far. It's been not without its own hiccups though. Nick, did you get to see a little bit about some of the frame rate issues and the game running capacity issues they were having, which is not unusual for like new games, but did you get to see any of this, experience it yourself?
I mean, I didn't experience it like overall. And this is like, I'm laughing because it's like, it feels like Game of Thrones, like season 8, that one episode where like everybody who had like a good TV like watch the show, like, oh, look at this, everything's not black, right? And then like literally if you don't have a good TV, you're like, what the fuck is this, right? And so like that's the way it kind of like the game feels. If your computer's not like at particular benchmarks, we'll say, you will experience a less than desired game experience 100%.
You're definitely not wrong on that one. And like the specifics, if you haven't been following, are that there's a bit of like a nerf or for FPS issue, frames per second issue. The game has been buggy. It was crashing for a lot of players when they were first starting, etc. But this specifically is more of a competitive advantage. And this is part of the chaos and the charm of the game. It is new. They're still figuring it out. I am pretty excited how much they were able to change from the last couple betas into the live release. But specifically here is that if you were running a 240 hertz monitor versus a 60 hertz monitor, you would be able to do more damage on specific characters, something like Venom. This article details it a little bit more, but here we go. 5 characters in Marvel Rivals nerfed at 30 frames per second, affecting abilities and gameplay. According to a comparison videos, heroes like Venom, Wolverine, Magic, Star-Lord, and Doctor Strange would do less damage because their moves wouldn't hit as many times at lower frame rates, FPSs. Players have provided the feedbacks. They're hoping for improvements. I think they might have addressed this and tackled it already, but that's kind of the thing I was kind of saying here, man. Venom has like a burst shot with his tentacles, so he like hits like 5 or 6 times. With 30 frames per second, you'd only hit like 4 times, so you're losing a significant, what is that, like 20% damage every time you primary fire?
Nerfed game experience. The meme of like my Venom versus your Venom is like it's real in these situations.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It is an opening sort of issue. There's a lot of bugs that happen with all these AAA releases, but it's interesting to see how this game's tackled it and is going to continue moving on with it. And generally speaking, yeah, here's a quick video. Let me not flashbang us or blast us out here. Turn them down a little bit and hit play. So this is a strange distance with his one floating move. You have lower frame rates. You don't exactly get to move as far.
That was embarrassing.
That one's kind of interesting because it's like literally the melee damage getting increased because you're hitting faster or more faster.
I got you.
I'd be interested in like the them like releasing like why this happened. I don't recall this ever happening in like another game where it's like you've been significantly like impacted by like FPS in this way, right? Like, because you execute something in the game and one computer says, nah, it only went this far. And then the other one says it went this far. That seems weird. Like it's all like it's doing the algorithms and like doing the coding on like your side. But it has like an anti-cheat. I don't know. It's just weird.
That might be the interesting part with it, like you're saying, though, because like I know my first major FPS on PC was Overwatch. We played Halo 1, 2, 3 on console. We did Smash Bros. Competitively. And so we're a lot of a console player kind of mindset. I dabbled in PC gaming with like Diablo, etc. But when I picked up Overwatch, it was the first time I picked up an FPS seriously on PC. And through that, I learned a lot when it came to stuff like frame rates, input, etc., and monitoring how things anchored when you input, like your mouse DPI, etc. And to bring us back into like a fuller cam here, what's it called? I know with Overwatch, you would see some specific inputs happen closer to frame rates. So if you had a higher hertz and a higher refresh on your monitor, you'd have more likelihood of like being able to hit something in the middle. Like 30 FPS or 60 hertz would have just like skipped here. As like I think I'm an audio nerd. It's easier to call it a sample rate, where it's like you slice the pie more, and each of those slices anchor an input. And I think that's what's happening here with Marvel Rivals, is that 30 frames per second in a given space has 30, slices to anchor on. 160 frames per second has 160 inputs. So you get a closer time. Otherwise, the other one's rounding. And when you round up, you add a little buffer almost to each of them. So I think that's kind of what's happening here, or what had happened. But it's interesting that it's based on frame rate and not like something else, like you're saying, like it's client side. There's no server like sort of communication for that. Any sort of like,
it's like you only experience it though, and you change like what the code is. You know what I mean? Like you're the only one to experience this. No one else is experiencing it unless they actually have the same, like similar setup, right? It's just like the overall similar setup of your computer. It's like, even if you were to, I don't think this happens if you have like a huge, like a really, really nice monitor and you just set it to 30, right? Does it happen? I have no idea. But it's just an interesting thing. It's really, really weird that it's not packet loss, and it's not like it might be packet loss, but that's like internet based. Like, I don't know. It's just super weird.
Yeah, definitely want to hear a little bit more.
Normally you zip stabbing around, but I don't know.
Definitely want to hear a little bit more on that. But generally speaking, this is just talking about overall NetEase as a developer for games historically, what they're doing, what their choices are. Marvel Rivals currently. We both played the beta, and we both thought this game was kind of a joke. It looked really cool. The hero identity seemed awesome. The anime styling of art kind of fell flat in the initial for us. But as far as gameplay wise, we were skeptical, highly skeptical. I think we're both sold on the game being a bit of a better product now. Definitely like more of a competitive thing than we initially thought. But like stuff like this might pull away from that competitiveness and definitely define it as something other than League of Legends-esque or Overwatch-esque. I've heard a lot of that now, where they have to balance this game like League of Legends, or they've got to like create reward system like League does. But the obvious comparison is to Overwatch, and everybody's gone tribal with it. It's like us versus them, all that drama, etc. But man, like, what do you think as far as the future to expect, or in 2025 for Marvel Rivals? Should we push it towards one of those archetype games or systems of releasing content, or I guess seasons?
It's just a different like style of hero shooter, right? Like it's already there. It's not a MOBA. by any means. It's not really, going to turn into, oh my God, I can't remember that game. Jesus. What's that, like, World of Warcraft looking MOBA? My Lord.
Smite or Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, Smite, that's the one. Yeah, it looks like old school World of Warcraft. Like, the graphics are just not that great.
News for you, bud.
But anyway.
News for you, bud. They've got Smite 2 coming out, so they updated those graphics. You sound so impressed.
I'm sure someone because somebody in the boardroom was like, you know what they got? Overwatch has Overwatch 2 now. What the fuck are we doing? That's the conversation. Like, we gotta have Smite 2. Why do we have Smite 2? John, do you have any explanation here? Like, that's what. Why are they making a Smite 2? Anyway, I won't get into that. I don't even know anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, and we'll see how Marvel Rivals tackles seasons and hero releases. They've started off pretty strong. There's been a couple of pushes back and forth. I still feel like we're in a honeymoon phase for the game. It's a lot of fun. It's a great game. You can just play with your boys, hang out. People can just pick up. It's free to play. The UI is kind of at times, but then also kind of great at times. So I will be interested to see how NetEase brings esports involvement into it, or if they just keep it as an in-game competitive sort of like local tournament aspect mindset for it, where it's like, oh yeah, you just on Saturdays we play tournament games, and you have a chance to win our digital currency in game, and those are competitive and etc. But like, will there be an esports league? Will there be regional tournaments? Like, let's go to a venue. Will they have this at like an Evo essentially? TBD, man. Before we switch topics though, what are your thoughts on that competitive side though, Nick, with the Marvel Rivals?
It's a Marvel game. Like it's almost like similar like Nintendo, right? When you're talking about like how protected their product or events would be, right? Like, it's not like they're not going to be like, let's go to Evo where like Mortal Kombat exists. That makes sense, right? Like they're not gonna do that. They're gonna probably like make their own thing or something. Like, who knows? Like the new, like Disney has like a yearly thing.
Yeah,
you could do it at like D25. Have like a Worlds tournament for this at D25, whatever it is, right?
Put it out at limited edition
skins. I can see it, stream it now. But I'm telling you right now, like limited edition Comic-Con skins for if you went to Comic-Con, like get fucked. Like, it's like everybody's gonna get wrecked on this one, dude.
Actually,
like, I can already hear it.
Have you seen that? Because that's a thing already, or are you just like kind of pulling that?
No,
out
I didn't see that.
All right, so
I'm just pulling it out my butt.
The new Marvel movie's coming out in February, I believe, in a couple weeks. Captain America one, right? With the Red Hulk. Well, I believe they're doing a team up with Regal Cinemas. And if you buy a ticket with Regal Cinemas, you get an in-game digital product. I think it's a name tag, a banner, and an unknown mystery hero costume so far right now.
You better watch out, man. Like, they're gonna partner with Prime. Like, it's gonna be cooked. It's gonna be over. I'll be sitting there with just like the 13-year-olds just running around with all the codes.
Do you think then like those codes become a black market, or do you think like we see something happen where like CS can like sell skins from their game to like other people?
Not happening. That's not happening. No shot. No shot are they gonna let you sell skins that you already purchased, right? Like, if anything, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna put them in the vault. They're gonna remove skins from you, and then like every 6 months, they're gonna be like, "Hey, look at this! We're back from the vault. Like, buy these new special editions of these ones. Like, you get the old one, and you get this new one that's a slight variant of it." Anyway, like the game is fine. Buy skins if you want to buy skins. I'm not going to tell you not to unless you're complaining about it. I won't tell anybody how to spend their money, but if you're like skins are too expensive, like, yeah, cool. Good point.
Yeah, we've had that conversation quite a lot, especially in the last year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Marvel Rivals pushes forward here. How the competitiveness kind of continues, how the honeymoon phase goes, if people stay excited, having fun with it, or if they become a little bit frustrated by the simplicity of, like, you know, some of the characters, some of the heroes, or just like, you know, the repetitive aspect of these games. You know, they're not playing it competitive. They're just going to jump in, jump out when new seasons arrive, which we've seen with a lot of other games happen. But speaking of other games, Nick, if you're ready to move on, we have a couple other games to talk about what to expect in 2025. You ready for it? All right.
Sure. I'll talk about two.
Do you want to talk about yours first?
No, we can do yours first. It's fine.
All right. Yeah, mine's pretty straightforward. It's going to be OWCS 2025 season is bringing a lot of changes, and it's getting kicked off it's already kicked off in the month of January for the open qualifiers, but we're going to be seeing the official first regular season of 2025 OWCS Stage 1 coming up this Friday, January 31st. My birthday, little birthday treat to get to watch some Overwatch and get to discuss some of that. So let's bring us over to the website and kind of run through some of the new things. The big bullet point here is that first and foremost, you can qualify and play if you get enough points. The open qualifier already happened for this first stage, but they're going to have relegation and promotion happen in this season of OWCS. Teams, the two lowest teams, I believe, get knocked out every stage, and then the two highest teams from open qualifier or the Face It League specifically are going to get bumped into the regular season, which is kind of cool to see. I think no, that's League of Legends that has a Disguised Toast team, but I believe there's another team in this one. We'll run down a few of those rosters in just a second. Beyond that, they're doing partner teams where there's been some drama here. They actually didn't end up partnering the Toronto Defiant or the Energy Shock, formerly San Francisco Shock, formerly, I guess, Toronto Defiant. But yeah, big blows. I'm not totally sure what happened in the offseason, happened in the contracts or limitations, but both teams announced to a lot of dismay that they weren't going to be a partner with that. Partners just include, getting skins and having share percentage profits in some of the marketing sales there. Beyond that, they're kind of just increasing the amount of play through the year, having streamer parties, having 3 stages instead of 2, and 3 in-person events, one of which being officially the Esports World Cup like they had in Riyadh last year, which was an unofficial tournament. This year, it's associated with Blizzard, Activision, King, etc., and the Overwatch Championship Series here. Nick, you're kind of an outsider looking in. And I know we talked about when the drama was happening with the partner teams, but what are your sort of thoughts on relegation and like promotion? What are your thoughts on, we'll get into the specifics of the partners, but anything in that you want to kind of talk about, focus on, or add in before we get moving?
The relegation's cool for like the viewer. I think like the thought of like you and a couple homies just like making a team and then like grinding your way through the gauntlet and like making it there. I think that's like have it, but it's like real stupid. They should like no, like really like what they should do is like partner with the teams. So it's like you get to qualify to like try out for certain teams and like just like 1v1 people or something. I don't know. Like what, how's the individual? Like the individual player, like I just got to get up to, I got to be grandmaster. I got to hope I get recognized. That'd be nice.
So you're kind of talking
but like
about,
it like,
sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I was going to say in League back in the day, they used to have like I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically like the amateur teams, they had to pick people off like the challenger roster. So they would grab people off like the challenger ladder and everything like that. And so like you had to prove yourself in order to, like actually get somewhere. Right. But like you had to earn something and then you were recognized by like a team instead of like trying to hope that somebody goes like, hey, maybe we should try this guy out for this team because I saw him play solo queue a couple times. Like, it happens on certain, like, in certain things, right? Like, there's like people in the FaZe clan that were picked up from like literally just random lobby games of like, yo, 1v1 me, now you're on my team. Like it happened before, right? But I would rather see something along those lines in addition to what they have of the actual, like, a singular person's ability to like make themselves known or have an opportunity rather than like having to struggle and find, 4 other people, a coach, and, anyway.
Yeah, I hear you.
That'd be cool.
I agree. And it sounds more like a, what's it called? A draft system in like the player aspect. Cause like what you're kind of saying where it's like random pickup kind of thing sounds like those stories in traditional sports where, I was a garbage man. I one day dreamed of playing on the Philadelphia Eagles and they had open tryouts and I showed up and then I got selected for the team kind of thing. Right. Whereas most of sports now drafts from colleges, drafts from like minor league teams, things that are officially like a stepping stone towards the big show, essentially. Even like for hockey, like a lot of, international leagues, they're picking up players here and there. And I could see something like that happen, something like football or, soccer. Or hockey work really well in something like for esports being an international sort of competition where people can like kind of prove themselves on a team-based game and like then get picked up.
Have a fun. And I was gonna say have a fun like show match.
Yeah,
like where you just have people from like these people have been pumping it. Bring them on stage, boys.
Right. How many times do you get super excited about specific players? Like I saw it all last year when we were, doing what was it called? The mid-season league tournament. Is it MSI?
MSI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept thinking of the motherboard MSI and thinking I was wrong. But yeah, like at MSI, it was so fun to talk about that and the specific players. And then even at like, finals, like that was cool to see the specific players pop off and then talk trash and everything. And that's something we've been saying. That might be a great idea for the sense that like you're not going to connect people to an organization like you do, but it's the individual personalities that really drive popularity. It's a streamer, what's it called? It's a streamer economy. It's a streamer eyeball influencer mentality. They're the people that are going to pull numbers for engagement. Then you're going to be able to then convert those numbers into merch sales, views, ad revenue, etc. Less people are going to give a shit about like the organization, even though the organization might be cool. But it's just people aren't as attached to Cloud9 as they are to like, the New York Yankees. Right? And of course, the New York Yankees are over 100 years old and they're one of the top 20. I think they're top 5 most valuable franchises in the world. So like very hyperbolic sort of example, but still like people have connections to that brand because they've developed that brand over a century. Team Liquid or C9 haven't. They're getting there, but it's harder to connect to.
What's like harder?
Sorry?
No, I was just saying it's harder.
Yeah.
And I have like a point for it, but I'll let you finish.
No, that was kind of it. It's harder. It's harder to connect to a brand and organization. It's a lot easier to like bring it together to an individual person or a collective of people where you can, see the person directly and see the streamer.
Yeah. I mean, like you interact with these products in like different ways. And like, that's why I never like really like was like, I never really saw eye to eye with the whole like, well, why don't we treat it like football with like the whole thing, right? Like we've talked about it a couple of times, right? But like you interact with the product like probably every day. Like when it comes to like League or Overwatch or something like that, maybe every other day, right? Whereas like most people who interact with like, we'll say sports and football, they're like, all right, we're going to sit down, watch dad's team, mom's team, whatever it may be, right? And then it's like, well, we don't have another one to watch until like next week. And so you're watching like the organization, you're not watching football. right? And so that's the easiest way that you get like attached to your organization and stuff like that. But it doesn't work like that with like League or Overwatch, because they're not interacting with the organization. They're interacting with the actual game itself. So you have to be more on the ground level, which, you know, more organizations are doing nowadays. But it's
yeah, but that's also
hard.
something, you know, people who watch football also play football. People who watch baseball like also played baseball. That's a big hook. Like the NFL is developing a flag football league and teams and organizations in Germany, in Spain, to like develop those markets, etc. And part of that is getting younger kids involved. And video games is like, you know, a kid thing in a lot of ways. And they almost have to come at it from the opposite way, where they have to like legitimize it. And I think those organizations in those official leagues would try to legitimize it. They went too hard in that direction, where I think you're right, where, yeah, they were focused too much on the product, and then they oversaturated because, you know, they weren't playing just once a week. But if they're doing more than once, then they needed to convert it from the more of the top level of the product into the individual product, like you're saying. And like we've talked about that, where it's like it was great to see personalities come out on stage, trash talk. It's great to see personalities talk on social media, etc. See live streams. I know a little bit later we're going to be talking about a team who's really changing the game for League on that. You've told me a little bit. I'm interested in hearing more, but I think that's going to be a relevant point, maybe a theme throughout this thing. And I'd love to see if OWCS can actually do it, and this sort of switch over, because they've foregone the legacy teams now. They've not gotten rid of, but they haven't partnered, and those teams decided not to compete this year. But like Energy Shock was one of the oldest teams from the Overwatch League, even pre-Overwatch League. And then you have Toronto Defiant, who's been holding strong, etc. But we'll see how that goes, and we'll take a look at the partner teams actually coming in right now. Scrolling down to the rest of the stages, like I said, it's going to have 3 stages, 3 different live events, and there's going to be promotion and relegation through each of them. We'll see how those go, if they end up being serious. There were some pretty big shakeups last year with the teams, if you remember, Nick, how we'd see like M80 kind of kill it in stage 1, but then completely fall off the map later on. Same with some other teams. They just disappear and then come back. Maybe they get re-signed to a different team. Maybe they start, you know, playing in the Face It League, and, you know, with a different combination of players and able to boost back up. But we'll see how that kind of rolls for this whole situation, and if it does end up feeling good or bad at that. You're talking about the promotion relegation. Let's bring us in. The tier pyramid, it's pretty straightforward, it's simple. But this might actually end up working like the thing you're saying. Maybe teams can end up scouting this master league in the middle here for talent, you know, to fill out their roster, to pivot a tank who's not performing, or a tank who's just not strong at a specific meta that's like coming through for like the finals or the stage or something. Hey, Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few things. If you're enjoying the content so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It's free for you, and it really helps us out. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast, play games, hang out, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Threads, or Blue Sky. This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports. So jump on in the conversation. Of course, you can find more content like this on YouTube. Just hit subscribe right here or here. Either way, we appreciate you being here, so thanks for watching. Let's get back to the show. I want to bring us down into the clash teams, or not the clash teams, the partner teams, but we'll get talking about hero bans in a minute here. Here we go.
What I'm here for.
Yep. So across the 3 different regions, which I want to add, one of the new things that they announced kind of last minute is they have a 4th region now competing, and it's going to be China. EMEA is back in there. NA is still here. Asia has expanded. It's generally APAC region, which what we're used to, what we're used from last year. But now I believe a 4th region competing is going to be China. We'll see how those teams go and how the interaction of the international competition is. We did see the team from China representing China last year do decently well in some of the tournaments, so it'd be cool to see. But here you go. We got Gen G, Twisted Minds, Virtus Pro, all names that we're pretty familiar with. Gen G was not a team represented in OWCS last year, but we did see the other two teams in the EMEA region compete pretty high level, especially at the end there. Space Station Gaming has moved over from EMEA into NA, and they've taken the partner spot there. And Team Liquid, both teams were not in NA last year, and Team Liquid was not in OWCS or didn't have an organizational sponsor, etc. there. We're moving into the Asia region. We are seeing all 4 partner teams were part of the APAC there. I think T1 was kind of under a different moniker, but generally speaking, it's nothing new here. This feels more like a quote unquote traditional esports roster or tournament bracket that you would see. All these names seem like names that you would just show up and see, like competing in a Valorant tournament or an Apex Legends tournament, etc. Right?
Yeah, very well known, established organizations, but like, who knows how this will like turn out with all these guys, right? Like, will that end up being like viewership, or are we just gonna give these orgs money?
Right. And maybe these orgs are just more inclined to take that risk for that prize pool that, we were saying last year was a little bit lackluster. We'll go over a little bit of the prize pool changes in a minute, but yeah, we're not seeing that Toronto fight come in. We're, Team Falcons is that Saudi sponsored team that dominated the Esports World Cup. But, it's looking a lot different this year. Crazy Raccoons, another one of those teams that like we saw a lot of competitive play in tournaments last year and just make those runs. But this seems just more like that historic organization of esports, and they field other teams for other games kind of matchup in live. And that's where I want to kind of just swing us really quickly into the tweet from Andy Miller a couple weeks ago at this point, December 18th, talking about the San Francisco Shock. Somehow, despite being the winningest team of all time, the most popular NA team, crushing it in merch and MTX sales throughout Overwatch League, partnering with colleges, supporting OWCS Season 1 as an NA team and a Tier 2 college scene, et cetera, et cetera. They weren't selected for the partner team. We don't know why, and we're crushed. I have already received many DMs, Shock fans, and this was we got a similar tweet from the Toronto Defiant saying they don't know why they didn't get partnered, But like looking at the overall picture here, it seems like not that it was necessarily a deliberate choice, but maybe they're trying to distance themselves. There might be some sort of non-compete clause. Maybe their contract ran out as far as how long they're partnered for, etc. But previously, that they couldn't support the same deals. Maybe they're just trying to distance themselves. But like, this feels like quite the swan song here, Nick, where they're just kind of trying to like push a little bit of public support in their favor, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know why. I'm about to sneeze this whole time.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ. Yeah, no, I mean, like, we don't know why it happened, right? But it was definitely like weird. It's a weird mark. But it might be something to do with like, I mean, Gen G overall has like really, really good outreach to like its community for the most part, right? Like it has pretty good engagement throughout multiple different games and stuff like that. So it could be something to do with like how the orgs interact with fans and what they could possibly bring to the table with that.
That's kind of then interesting too, because like this is the CEO / team owner / whatever for the Energy Shock and the San Francisco Shock the entire time. This tweet, as of that point that I screenshotted or grabbed it, was like 10,000 likes, 1.2 million views. So like, obviously there's some virality of it. You might not be a part of the organization, or it might just kind of cross your plate with this stuff. But like, this is a decent amount of engagement for the CEO of a team, of an organization too. So like, it'll be interesting because I don't think we'll really ever find out. There could be some power moves happening here. We don't know. There could be some contract issues, non-compete clauses, or just general distancing choices being made, where it's like, you know, how actors in movies get picked sometime, like they just decided to go in a different direction stuff. I know a lot of people saw
it could be just like
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. I was just going to say, you know, it's just something, you know, a lot of people don't understand it, don't see the back end, but they want to jump on this really quick because it is kind of emotional news. This was one of the organizations that did have a bit of like a presence and a pretty strong fan base in that Overwatch league. And they did make that transition into the OWCS, et cetera. But who knows what that meant in costs, et cetera. So, yeah.
I mean, you could treat it like things that like popped into my head is that like maybe like the general thought, and this might be like a little bit messed up to say, right, is that like their fans just weren't as valuable, right? Because they're not going to quit. It's not like they quit Overwatch, right? They're just like, San Francisco Shock, NRG, you guys are gone. I'm out of this, right? And because of that, like it might be the fact that like Gen G and the other orgs are able to prove that they're able to grow from a more I don't want to say like grassroots or anything, but it's like they're able to grow their new acquirers, right? Like their new customers and stuff like that, their new fans a little bit better than they have been over like the last couple of years. Like sure, maybe they've been selling like, you know, merch and stuff like that, but that's already to like people who are already purchasing merch probably. Yeah. It's not like somebody comes in and just goes like, you know what, I'm new to baseball, I'm gonna go with like the Yankees or something. Like, you know, like it's just not like, you know what, I'm new to basketball, I'm gonna go with the Lakers or so I'm gonna do something.
Yeah,
right. You're not just like choosing an org like that.
I'd say unless you're like a little kid, like in a what's it called, like a tradition, right, into like a region that just like values that. Like I can't imagine being born in Wisconsin and not being a Packers fan really for that reason. But esports is definitely different. Esports isn't as like region locked in that way. And maybe that you're hitting the nail on the head with that, where it's like they're distancing themselves from the Overwatch League system of things because it's left a bad taste in the mouth at the very least. And at the very worst, it basically made teams and fans very complacent, very lethargic, very like, I don't know, just a bad taste in their mouth. Like, just like, fuck, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to, you know, XYZ about it. So moving it towards these esports organizations who have longevity in a like Wild West system and have outreaching teams in multiple games might be the strategy here. Might be the marketing funnel as well. Like you're saying, better acquisition, better cross reach, and then better conversion into sales, into new fans, new super fans even. Definitely an interesting thing to look at.
So like interesting.
Go for it.
Interesting thought that like did pop into my head based on like, you know, what I was like mentioning was like T1 overall. Like, and I know that I know this specifically for like League of Legends. Okay. T1, right? They have a lot of viewership in general, like when they stream and stuff like that. Like you know, Gumi, and not Gumi Yushi, like he's benched now, but that's a different story.
Different story.
But like, you know, Faker, and every single person of like T1, like they usually have a high amount, like 85% of the viewers are like female.
Interesting. Is that because
so of like I don't know a specific, I have no idea. I have no idea what the cause for that would be. I'm not going to speculate on like Korean women. Like that's crazy. No, like I don't know why. Yeah.
In
like,
that way,
they just like they're just engaged, right?
Yeah, in that way, if I was asking if it was just like, do we know region that it applies to? Because if I made a TikTok video, I could see from which country somebody's watching from, how long the average watch time of everybody is, kind of thing. So like in that sort of stuff, is it, you think it's just like a cultural thing, like APAC region sort of cultural thing, perhaps?
No idea, dude. Like I literally like I'm like my brain's shut down on it, but it's just like an interesting thought of like maybe maybe that is, maybe they're, garner a little bit more, female viewers and stuff like that. Like, no, not trying to like, everybody's cool. Like, it's not like, just like, but that could be like a thing that they're trying to garner, You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
We do know that Faker's got that Riz. He's got that
he's got the Riz, dude.
He's got that boy band feel. He's definitely
Demon King, bro.
Oh man, he's such a heartthrob.
I love, dude. Faker's the man, dude. I love this kid, man. Like, he's the best, dude. I say kid, but like,
yeah.
I remember like watching him do like the Mazda commercial. I think it was like a Mazda commercial, and he was just so stoic and still like a statue. He's just standing there like nothing, just straight face, and it's just great, man. Like he's such an interesting character. Like Anyway, it doesn't matter, but like it's just one of those things. Like Gen G's really good at engagement for the community. Like T1 is good in engaging like just viewers in general, but it's specifically like the League one has more female viewership, and that might bring a little something over to Overwatch. We could use more.
I mean, that's a general thing
in that area, right?
Like North American video games in general, right? North American EU, just having that space for not just little man-childs, just more than dudes, man. Let's get some girls in this. But it'll be cool to see how that changes. It'll be cool to see what also pushes forward with it, because I think another thing that's going to increase viewership and maybe expand that demographic from just one singular person into more is the hero bans, which we've talked about seeing at Esports World Cup last year and being a big fan of. Well, they're bringing it officially to OWCS, and there's already a bit of a story developing with this. So generally speaking, how the hero bans are going to operate is that it's kind of verbatim what the EWC hero bans were. Each team is going to get to ban one hero per map. Both teams cannot play that hero that is banned. They can only ban one hero from each role. So if I ban from support, you cannot ban anybody else from support as the other team. And then for the rest of the game, nobody can ban that hero out. So it makes for an interesting play, and especially with the roster that seems fairly limited compared to League of Legends and now Marvel Rivals. But it's created a kind of an interesting sort of situation here. There is a Reddit post here by Gizmomps, kind of butchering that, I apologize. But most banned heroes from the initial qualifier phase, this is across the major top teams, top 16. So we're not just every Tom, Dick, and Larry team, bottom down kind of stuff. It's more of what you'd see in the higher level competitive, and the teams that eventually have qualified and are playing in the first stage here. Ana was the first and most banned hero. Hazard and Malga being 2 and 3, tied at 10, 11 bans. Junker Queen, so 3 tanks getting banned, and that's something we kind of expect because tanks usually decide comps, and these 3 tanks getting banned kind of show how fast paced the game and the meta currently is. Hazard being a very strong pick right now. Malga probably being a good counter to Hazard. The Junker Queen also kind of a fast pace damage, but then you've got Kiriko, Lucio, Pharah, Genji, Sojourn. Genji's probably really strong with the Ana. If the Ana's strong, Sojourn also kind of has that step up, a little hit scan, and then Widowmaker, Wrecking Ball. I wonder if that's just to block out certain players there. But Nick, looking at this, and as we go into this next chart here, what's your thoughts on these hero bans, how they're operating, and maybe this narrative of what's going on currently in qualifiers?
So one of the things we talked about before we even set up on the stream, one of the things that I said was maybe Blizzard just doesn't realize that they're they haven't come out and said it, but their initial thought of what a tank should be in Overwatch is 100% wrong. And really the way the game should play is with these juggernauts, these people who are kind of in the thick of it, not really putting up shields and making you sit behind them, right? The slow gameplay. which is probably why they're so banned, right? Like they're so targeted for the, like a lot of this stuff in general. I don't know, but Anna's bullshit either way. Like we could just say that right off the jump. Like she's always been like she's super dumb. And like you know what's funny is like these stats are the stats that like if they had these bans previous to Overwatch 2 getting released, you'd be able to like actually like fix the game a little bit better. But like Anna's BS, man. Like Anna's BS because like just her anti-heal grenade in general, right?
It was
Like,
such a unique character, and she's been strong the entire way through, but it was always interesting because it was a skill shot, right? It was always good to see player expression and creativity and team combos working with that. But yeah, like that double shield meta and that goats meta in the late game, I really enjoyed goats meta. It was a lot slower, a lot more nuanced, but like it was ridiculous and it lasted too long. Here, you know, is this a player behavior thing where that's where tanks, you know, comps, you know, etc. Should they be brawlers? Should they be juggernauts like you're saying? Should they just, you know, be a wall or a soak or a sponge? It's hard to say. And like we're seeing like another 6v6 game go at it and kind of make some choices with that. But, you know, Overwatch is a decade in, has played through the stuff, and they've made choices here. So yeah, maybe it's just game philosophy that's, you know, got to change. But I don't know, man. Like I'm still in the camp. Like, yeah, I believe the way this ban has played out, I think it's appropriate. I think it's solid for a competitive play, even if you want to bring it to ladder competitive. You know, each team gets to pick one and like kind of like a coin flip of who gets to pick the first one. So it's like one tank, one support gets banned. We'll see how that goes. But every other example might have been something closer to like League of Legends or, you know, games that way where there is like multiple or, you know, pick ban stage, but take a lot of time and single out players. And was it worth putting to ladder, or should we just do, you know, top end kind of Overwatch League level of stuff?
yeah, I mean, and like also, you know, it's different, right? Because you can just, regardless of like what bands go through, you can both play the same comp. You know, so yeah. Like that inherently is like I don't want to say like a glaring flaw, because like it's not really like a flaw, but it is something that creates a lot of pain points.
Yeah,
for Overwatch, I feel.
I agree with you, but I feel like it might be in a different way. Like people don't like watching the mirror match for some reason. They don't like to see people driving the same car. Essentially, because they feel
feels
like
unnatural.
It might feel unnatural, but then it's also like people don't like nuance. They like big, flashy stuff. I think that's why they like characters like Genji, Ana, because like, okay, Nano Blade is very simple to understand, very simple to see what happens to it. You know, the ult exchange and the sequence of ults in Goats meta was like a clusterfuck, but it also was just like very nuanced and very small changes that made openings and et cetera, et cetera. It's definitely harder to see in that like overall, but yeah, man, it is a tough one for that. That's a thing they're going to still have to figure out, and they're going to have to figure out now with like Marvel Rivals a little bit on their heels, but as far as taking audience, et cetera. But as far as these bans go, man, you know, this kind of indicates what we're going to expect. We did see a patch happen, the midseason patch change of Hazard a little bit. It nerfed Ana a little bit. But, you know, this seemed to be a very dive heavy, rush heavy kind of thing. Pharah, Genji being some of the top, you know, I wouldn't necessarily consider Pharah a dive character, but I could see her being used as that like pounce dive with all her abilities kind of in stuff. Besides that, Brig, Juno, Moira being banned, that seems like just BMing.
What, Moira?
Yeah, teams banning Moira.
Yeah, probably. Like, That's usually like that's and like I said this the last time with like the Esports World Cup, right? Like they're targeted bans when they're going to be facing like lower teams, and it's just like we're gonna make you regret this. And it's super mean, but hey, like I'm into it. I love when teams are mean to other teams through the rules of the game. I don't want them to just be like, out of the game and just like be bullying each other. But like if you're bullying people based on like things you can do in the game, by all means, do it.
It's like respectfully, I'm bullying you. Respectfully.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not worried about you. I just want you to know that like I see what you do. And I don't care, but I'm not going to let you do it. Like you're not allowed to have fun.
All right, well, let's kind of move this along into the last part with Overwatch here, OWCS. Regular season is officially starting this Friday, January 31st, my birthday. So if you want to send some presents my way or just watch the games with me, head on over. That's going to be continuing throughout the month of February. We're going to be seeing playoffs later in March, and then the official promotion relegation happening in April, and the first live event, Champions Clash, occurring in April as well. These pick bans are going live. It'll be interesting to see how and what they're doing at this top level, if they're going to figure it out. Maybe there's a little bit of a learning curve for some of these players, some of these teams, how they're deciding who they're playing, etc. And that's kind of where we're going to pivot into for the last part here. The games are going to be first to 3, best of 5, and the top 6 are going to go to the playoffs. Hero bans, 1 ban per hero. 1 ban per team per map, and the bans impacting both teams. Each ban must be from a different role other than the other team's ban. So one support, another support cannot be banned. Teams can only ban a hero once per series, but may repeat a ban from the opposite team. So if you ban Lucio, I'll be able to ban Lucio in a different game later in our match. And then the higher seeded team always gets the ban first, which, sounds fun, sounds fair. But I guess it makes sense because then the losing team of the map gets to pick the band next ban. Bringing us down into the teams competing and a little bit of that roster overview. We've got a partner team, Space Station Gaming and Team Liquid at the top here. We're seeing Timeless back at it again. Avidity making another play here. Rad Esports, Nightmare joining the fray yet again. Let's see what that roster is going to look like. Shikigami and Amplify. So team looking wise, Space Station Gaming looking quite different. It's not quite the London Spitfire rehash here. We've got Seeker, Sugar Free, Kellen, Bliss, and CJ. Hodgepodge a little bit from, I believe, Nightmare in last season, and bringing on Sugar Free from the Toronto Defiant, who made some moves. I think this is going to be a pretty strong team. Definitely a scary DPS line here, Nick. Team Liquid, we're seeing Tree, Infected, RuPaul, Vega, Knife, another hodgepodge coalescence of a couple of different teams from last year, kind of piecing back together. Timeless, we got Chopper, Rocket, Riker, Lucamino, and Squid. A little bit of a shift, but generally some names that we are familiar with. Chopper, Rocket making grabbing attention last year. Be one to look out for this year, but they ultimately ended up falling off towards the later season for who knows why, but we'll see how they're performing as this qualifier is open. This open qualifier team is going to be competing in the big boy regular season here consistently, not just sporadically. Avidity is next. These have some names like Wub, who've competed in the OWL. So we'll see how they're going to be able to stand up and stay strong against some of these teams. This is a little bit of a bigger roster. They have a 3 DPS roster where they'll be able to switch probably a hit scan specialist in there just to make sure they're able to click heads. Rad Esports is a team we're not totally familiar with, but we do know King, we do know Chronic Piece, and a couple of Unlep. Again, another open qualifier team. We'd be excited to see how they're able to compete, stand up with some of these teams that might be a little bit more seasoned, and we'll see if these guys get cooked, but I think they're going to be just doing some cooking. Nightmare, next up, a different version of what we're used to, but we're kind of seeing some players from a mix of some other teams. Lethal coming in. we got Cuffa, we got Ultraviolet, Admiral, I think Envision, Zero too. Like, I think these are teams that like kind of imploded after last year. Didn't quite make points to get into the DreamHack tournament. And now, this is probably one of the larger rosters we're already seeing as the games get started here overall. Next up, Shikigami. We're seeing Drunk, which, am I seeing that correctly, Nick? The flag next to Drunk, is that a Chinese player, a player from China? No,
I didn't see it.
All right, here's the whole. I was trying to check his specific page or their specific page, but yeah, I think that's the first player we've.
Yeah, that's the Chinese flag.
I think that's the first player we've seen from the Chinese region competing on a team other than in China or for China. Here they are in NA competing, so good luck to them. Good luck to this team, Solo Graveyard, Shikigami. Let's see them make some moves. I wonder if language barrier is going to be, comms, etc., is going to be an issue for that, but we'll see how that goes and hopefully get some insight from the talent, the broadcast. And last but not least, Amplify. A few names not totally familiar with, but believe they're getting it through points. They've got an opportunity to have some fun here. Crazy Cat, Gap, Solo Zen, etc. Ewan. They'll be facing off coming up real quick, and it's going to be a very interesting regular season, Nick. We're wrapping up just the information of OWCS. What would you like to see happen as a casual Overwatch player, fan of this, and more of an esports fan?
I'm not really sure. Like, I think more show matches. I think Overwatch is pretty well suited to have more fun with their events. Like, their events are real short. Like, truth be told, like the couple events that like we went to, like the finals, like we were gone and like we were like, oh man, yeah, let's go. And then like we're there and it's like, it's been an hour. We're gone. All right, we're leaving. This is sick.
In fairness,
which is cool for them.
Almost all of the grand finals were like 4-0s except the first one. I think the first one was a little bit closer than a 4-0, right, but then like it just still was
exact point.
Yeah.
Thanks for proving my point. Like it's like, oh, look at this. It was just an absolute shit stomp. And we spent an hour experiencing this event that we paid tickets for, that you want us to buy merch for and stuff like that. And like I think it's better suited to do a little bit more because the matches are so short. Even if it's like back and forth, I don't think we really would have. I'm like, maybe it might have doubled the time, but then we would have been there for 2 to 3 hours for like the thing. I don't know, but I would have loved to see some nice like show matches or just like 1v1s, like random, like Lucio, like I don't know, pick like a part of the map, any random map, and then just like two people just like got a Lucio like bump each other off the thing and wall ride at the same time, right?
Yeah. Like
I don't know. Like yeah, guys, like you got to do this. That would be super entertaining. But stuff like that, I would rather see a little bit more out of the game, of just like that way you get to know the players, you get to have a little bit more fun, like see them out of this super serious business mode. I mean, it's the stuff that works in other avenues too. League's starting to do it more.
Yeah, I think that's also something that draws the personalities out of players, or it connects the fans to specific people. Also, a good thing, I'm going to swap back in real quick here. Prize pool, I think, has increased a little bit. First place for this stage is 30 grand. Second place is 20 grand. Third, 14.5. Fourth, 10.5. And all the way down to 8th place is actually getting money, whereas previously I think it was only top 4 that got money. But definitely kind of trending in the right direction, still on the lower side, but there are 3 stages now, and then 3 tournaments, and then I think grand finals. So we'll see how that ends up playing out, and how much that changes, and we'll take a tally of that number wise a little bit later. But I think that also kind of inherently makes the value of each opportunity different than last year. So to your point about going to the grand finals, going to these events, making it feel bigger, not necessarily stretching it out into nothing, but like giving people actual value, actual reasons to be a part of it, from a competitor side, a player side, all the way to a fan viewer side.
Yeah. Overwatch has really, really goofy like interactions. Whereas like in League of Legends, it's more like a fighting game, right? Because you're like it's a 3D game on a 2D plane.
Yeah.
Right. Or a 2D game on a 3D plane.
Yeah.
Correct. Sorry. That's what it is. It's a 2D game on a 3D plane. Yeah. The rains in Spain fall mainly on the plane. Anyway. So like, and it's just like, it's different. Like with League, it's not as fun to like really watch like a 1v1. It's more like watching like Mortal Kombat. So like, if you're just not interested in like 1v1s in League of Legends, like it just has no value to you.
Right.
Other than that, like it's really, really hard. But in Overwatch, they're just wacky stuff that you could do.
I remember
like Reinhardt bowling. I don't know.
They've got a workshop mode where there's
just like
I think I saw Wrecking Ball Plinko recently and thought that was amazing.
Yeah. Fantastic. Like do some of those. Make highlights of the week's workshops or the month's workshops like as like a singular thing. Just like, hey guys, these are the best like workshop games. We're gonna have some of the pros play them today.
Yeah,
like that's great.
Some of the silliest things,
something like that, like
creator versus fans kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff they could do. I remember seeing Mangachu 1v1 with Torb Hammer only against somebody a while ago, and that was a lot of fun to watch. But you know, having more of that at these events, at these series would be cool. Otherwise, it's just a standard affair of I agree. I think it's just a standard affair of like serious match, players competing, doing business, trying to make as much money as possible, and then they release a hero or they talk to the devs, and then you know back to business kind of stuff. You know, serious. And like I love the serious competition. Yeah, I love the serious competition, but I do agree with you. It'd be like nice to see some silly shit happen.
I do kind of appreciate sometimes when they talk to like devs, but I always want it like off of the main thing. I don't want it forced onto me. Like no one wants to hear that shit. Like if we're 100% truthful, like if we're sitting down to like have a good time, it's like, well, see all this work that went into this, guys. It was like, so we brought like, I don't care. I don't care at all. like in that moment, I don't care. Outside of like that actual area, I'll sit there and watch a dev video for like League of Legends. I'll watch them for anything. Marvel Rivals. I don't care. I'll watch them. They're super interesting when I'm not trying to be entertained. I guess like, you know, when I'm not trying to learn something like,
it's funny you say that.
Just stuff like that.
It's funny you say that because I just flew back from a trip and, you know, you're a captive audience when you're on the plane. You're literally tied to the seat with the seatbelt. And at one point, halfway through the flight attendant just starts making a sales pitch to everybody over the intercom. It's like, you can sign up for our credit card and you get more points if you sign up today with me. And it's really exciting. And that's what it always feels like when the devs do the PR speak, when they're trying to like really hype you. Like I want them to be more personable, more like conversational about that stuff and like talk about their contribution or what it took to do this. Give me a little bit of a sales pitch, but let's keep it minimum. I don't want your shitty credit card. Let's move on.
Keep the sales pitch to the people who make trailers. Like cut that shit out. Just straight up. Like let me see it, how cool it is. You tell me how cool it is. Don't tell me like, listen, you can customize a lot of stuff. We have 80,000 different combinations of facial features that you can do in this game. Like instead of like, no, all right, guys, so you can make your own character. Yeah, that's pits. Who cares? You can fight fucking dragons. Okay. Like, yeah, there's a character creation. I get it. You could spend hours in this thing, right? But like, you're going to fight dragons and you're going to get dragon powers. All right. And you can like, you can do all sorts of shit in this game. I swear to God, that's Skyrim. Okay. Like that's Skyrim. Okay.
Sold, man.
Like,
I'm totally sold, but
like,
I've got this arrow. That's
the stuff that I want to hear them say.
Yeah, I'm totally sold, but I've got this arrow in my knee and like, I don't know, man.
But yeah, no, like that's what I want to hear from them. Like the cool stuff like that. I don't really you know, it's like it's real weird. Even like Blizzard does this in all their games, right? Like, so you got another big bad coming, guys. Like in World of Warcraft and stuff like that. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place. I think that's a good place to leave it on for OWCS as we kind of convert into some of the other things. Just one more game really to talk about, or two more. Nick, moving into sort of your stuff. What would you like to move on to next?
What's the other game?
I don't know. You said you had two things to talk about previously. So I figured you had one up your sleeve, you chaotic wild card.
Not games. So like, no. So like, we have League starting, right? And like, it's always going to be fun for League. If you haven't seen, the first split has started, right? And the cool thing about the first split is that it's a little bit different from everything else. Every region has pretty much like the same situation where it's just brackets for this first one, but it is best of threes.
I saw that a little earlier and I got really confused.
Yeah, no, it's mostly to like, because this is like the North and the South thing. I think like this is supposed to set up like who's the best in the region. Cause everything has 3 splits now. We're just going to be, 3 split craziness, but in some of the, like, look at this. It's like absolutely devastating, crippling defeats.
I thought I missed something because there's like a major tournament.
2-0.
I thought I missed something because it seems like a major tournament, but like, yeah, like this is just regular season split stuff, like the start of a split kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's start by running. Sorry, let's start by running through the teams playing here. We're mostly focusing on what it's called the LTA now, right?
It's LTA North, LTA South.
North, LTA, yeah. So what's LTA stand for? Do a little research here. LOL Championship of the Americas.
League Trans America. Yeah.
Okay. Man, it's better than the alphabet soup, I guess, but it's something. But yeah, we've got 8 teams. We got Cloud9, Dignitas, FlyQuest, bro. Shopify Rebellion, Team Liquid, Lion, and 100 Thieves. And Disguised down here competing. I can run through the rosters real quick if you want me to. Are we good?
No, we don't need to.
Okay, so
we're good. Like, I think that's like people will find their players. Like, it's not something like that. It's just cool that we're gonna finally have another split where we have more than 8 teams, I think. And like, how many teams was it when they were just like?
It was 7.
Before it was like 17. Yeah, it was 7. It was disgusting. It was not fun to watch.
Just playing each other.
So essentially,
every
right?
Tuesday.
Like, the only thing that you want to like really like focus on, right, is that it's starting up. Watch it if you want to watch it, right? It's best of 3s. Fearless Draft is super. Fearless Draft is the best thing to happen to League. Just in general, the games have been great and everything like that. The little bit of drama that happened over the weekend, basically with FlyQuest, is Bwipo 2-0'd, and Bwipo decided to call out the league and say everybody's not good enough. Basically, like it's saying, "Hey guys, we need to bump up North America and let's make it the best region we possibly can." And he chose good and bad words to both say that.
Few 4-letter words,
but no, like it's just no. It's just, like kind of, but it's just fun. If you haven't watched League in a while, just watch League with the Fearless Draft. You should have a different feel. You might not like it still, who knows? But it'll definitely have a different feel. Just overall, the games have been like really good across regions.
So it's been a little while since we talked about Fearless Draft. Could you remind me what that is overall? Because I know generally speaking, each team normally would like back and forth pick and ban. Like they'd pick a hero and then ban a hero, and then the other team would pick a hero and then ban a hero.
So the way it works is like game 1, you only have 10 bans, and you like the 5 and 5, and then you play your characters.
Yeah.
Right. Then you have the 10 fearless bans, which are the ones that we already had previously. plus the standard bands.
Okay. So
then you have the 20 fearless bands, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yeah. Until the last game, and then it resets. The last game in the match will reset all bands. Yeah. Okay.
And it's like any champions that are used, and like it's really like more than this, right? So like in the first game, right, there's a total of 20 characters that are taken out of the game.
Right.
Like, so they had like the thing that I'm even like looking at, like it's just wrong. Even though it's League's own website, they're just explaining the bans. But you get 5 bans per team each game, and whatever champions you played in the previous game in that current match, you can't play again.
Okay.
So it really limits the champion pools going down more and more and more as the games get longer. So if 2 teams are evenly skilled, we get a good amount of matches.
Yeah.
And the matches are going to be different, that they're not going to be solely dependent on what the patch is like it normally is, which is awesome.
I can see that really incentivizing a more depthful character pool. I know like we do see a lot of teams pick a lot of different things in general, but I think this pushes a variety of comps and choices of comps in the meta. So it's not just like, oh, here's our 3 solid teams. No, we have to like kind of pick, and we have to then push our picks against, the other team. So like, we want to make sure try to get our strongest picks against their strongest picks, or like in a situation where like, we're not just against throwaway team, like a throwaway, like match, a game round or whatever. Yeah. Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah. And I mean, and it also leads to a little bit of like target banning in certain cases, right? If someone's champion pool isn't deep enough, they're able to just be banned out for the most part.
Very cool. So what was happening?
Ends up, making it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. What was happening with the flag quests? You had the one player just calling people out saying North America's trash, and let's not make it trash. You guys.
Yeah, so basically, like, to backpedal a little bit, right? Recently, a team has come out, right? Los Ratones is probably one of the best things that happened to esports. The easiest way to describe them is a streamer / ex-pros, ex-commentator, ex-caster team for the most part, right? They joined one of the leagues, and their whole premise is every single thing is out in the open. All of their streams, all of their scrims, all of their strategies. For the most part, like literally they'll go over strategies, they'll play their games, and then like literally the next day they'll go over it on a YouTube video.
That's cool.
So it's there for you to go to like, the college of YouTube and learn how to beat these guys. And they've been doing it. It's been a really, really positive force for them just in general. They're super popular. People have been jumping onto it. It's been an awesome watch. The ride has been great. They're on an anime arc. It's insanity how they're on an anime arc. Like they develop a team called the Rat Ones. Like, and then they get basically brought into like Red Bull to face Faker and his boys. In like a joke match, basically, but like, they kind of take it serious. They take it seriously, whereas like Faker doesn't, and they pick like off rolls and stuff like that. But it was a really exciting time where the first international thing that they get to do is face the world champion team. Right?
Time, yeah.
Like it's super anime arc. It's ridiculous. And then they go into remember Reckless that I was talking about like a lot? From like T1's like his secondary support. Yeah, he's their support on this team.
Oh, okay.
He's like, so it's fun. Their team is extremely fun. It's made up of oh my god, I'm gonna get their names wrong, but it's like Nemesis, Crowny, Reckless, Baus, Velia, I think.
I was able to pull up on Liquipedia the roster here. Let me just zoom in a little bit. There we go. We got the Baus, Velja, Nemesis, Crowny, Reckless. Baus.
Yep. Baus.
Yeah, we get to see a little bit.
And so like
what roles they play.
Yeah, no, it's just been great watching their games. Baus is he's a very unique character for League of Legends. He is I want to say like the mathematical player, right? Like he's going to be the person who's like, if I die here, it's really good. Whereas everybody else is like, no. It's really bad to die. And he's like, no, you don't understand. Here's the math equation. And then like, you're like, all right, I guess like that's, and he constantly has like this game like patched for the shit that he does for the most part. And I'm not joking. Like I'm not going to go into it in like detail, but like he gets regularly punished in patch notes without being called out.
So is this dude just like a mad scientist?
Pretty much. Like he does some really funky shit. Like he's a solid player. Like he's a solid player, but he does some really, really funky stuff. And some of his like cheese, like you consider like cheese strats are more than cheese strats. They're a little bit too legitimate in certain aspects, which is why it ends up getting like nerfed by Riot and stuff like that. But overall, it's been great just like watching them. And other teams have already started to take notice of what they're doing and how their engagement is going through the roof. And teams like FlyQuest being one of them, where Bwipo comes out and just basically says like, yeah, we're going to start doing this too. Yeah, we stole it from them. And he won't like say their name. Like, obviously, like, he's like, no, and, like, I'm not going to say like, he doesn't say it, but he's like, no, we definitely stole it. Like everybody knows who they're talking about. He's like, we stole it from them. Yeah, definitely. We're going to have our little twist on it. But like, it's one of those things where he says, you know, nobody should really be hiding too much of like what their strategies are in North America. You're not good enough. Like is essentially what his like point is. Like it's a little bit of like a mean point. Like, but if maybe Korea can hide their stuff, right? Like maybe T1 can have a couple things that are just like, no, we don't do certain things out in the open. We have some strategies that are in our back pocket. What NA team really, besides like maybe FlyQuest, when they were performing in Worlds, like is able to pull off something like this, right? So they're starting to take it. And I think there's like another team. I can't remember exactly what the team is, but you know, it's way better. Don't sell socks. Engage with your community. Like I say it all the time. I probably rip on Fnatic like the most, but like don't sell socks. Like you suck. Like if you're trying to sell me socks.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a while, and this sounds like the perfect epiphany of that. They're able to bring it together and just kind of like really go to where the audience is. The audience is on stream. The audience is on the internet. So if they're on the internet interacting with them in all these different moments, you're building more of a community, you're building more of a fan base. It's exactly what we're talking about. This isn't great stuff like, oh, cool, Wendy's is dunking on Dunkin' Donuts on Twitter. Like, oh, fun, great. But like, no one gives a shit beyond that moment. So like, you get into these sort of aspects, less of the product, more of the person. And like, you're able to actually build community, build a substantial thing and not just sell socks. It's funny you say that too, because, you know, what Los Ratones could probably sell socks and sell more than Fnatic at this point. Oh,
the rat socks?
Hell yeah.
They can sell rat socks. They can lean right into the whole just rat out with the rat feet and shit like that. Like I don't know, like they can do anything, man. Like some gray socks with like some peach bottoms where just like rat toes. It would be hilarious. But yeah, the thing, like, I mean, you know, a bunch of content creators and stuff would all say the similar thing, right? Like, what's the funnel that leads into like the LCS, right? Like, how do you funnel them there? And like, instead of just trying to drag their asses to the screen and just go like, watch the LCS.
Yeah. Like,
you'll love it. You like League of Legends? Like, that's not the way it works. Like, again, it's more, you know, they need to interact with League. They can't interact with the LCS or the LTA. Whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it the LCS for like forever.
Forever in our hearts. Forever in our hearts. But yeah, man, like it's good to see that. It's cool to hear. And it's cool to hear that even FlyQuest is going to start trolling other teams, calling them trash and instigating for that open mindset.
It was the team that they beat. They beat them 2-0. It wasn't like they just called out like another team that was home sitting on the couch after they had a sweaty game yesterday. Like, no, it was the same dudes who were in the back room going like, damn, how did we lose that? And he goes, because you suck. You tried to hide things. You suck so bad. You thought you're so bad at this game is basically what he's saying. You're so bad at the game that the thoughts you were having in a closed room are stupid. Stop it. So that's essentially what he's saying.
I think at the very least, opening up that stuff is going to produce a stronger market rather than people like the LCK being the main characters in this story. That the LCS, that LTA North America region, will be able to develop more main character energy by, at the very least, even if they're not that good, they're able to build a community, build a fan base, etc. At the very least, if they open up like that, and that otherwise, I think the dude's right where it's like it's gonna force you to be better. You're not gonna have some secret cheese strat or some like little thing like, haha, you've fallen into my trap card kind of moment. You have to play good. You can't just be a shitter hiding kind of mentality. So at the very least is that, but I think an important thing to also add, I wonder if he chose to make that move because Shopify Rebellion, that's a team that, Moist Esports just, merged with Shopify Rebellion, I believe. So like, I believe they're fielding and managing this team now overall. So I wonder if it was also just like some good jesting there, a little bit of Riz, a little bit of scallywagging.
Yeah, I mean, that is the and Ludwig,
yeah,
and Moist Critical now own new co-owners for Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah,
when did this happen?
There's a video this past week where he kind of discloses it, and they finally announced it. We could probably do a review of the video, kind of like react to it, etc. One of those YouTuber things, maybe next week. A little bit more time. I had it on the docket, but I didn't figure we'd have enough time for it. But long story short is that, remember when they were competing in Apex, I believe, and they got immigration locked out of the country, so they couldn't go, or I think it might have been Rocket League. But basically, it kind of is alluded.
It was Apex.
It was Apex. It was alluded to that that what's it called? That U.S. immigrations wouldn't let them in the country because the name Moist was sus to them. So they did all the things. Moist Critical is actually suing the U.S. government right now, and he knows it's kind of a shitter kind of case, and he's gonna bang his head against the wall there. But he does think he has a chance at it, so he's going for it. But yeah, it's partly because of that, and then Shopify Rebellion helped them out. I think they housed him in Canada, allowed them to play, got him in with their roster, I think, etc. So like they really bailed them out, and so like it just grew the partnership, and it was like a no-brainer for them to like come together. And I think they officially announced it within the last week or two, just in time probably for LTA to start.
Yeah, let's just double check. I'm going to double check if they sell socks. Give me 1 second.
Well, if they do, make sure
find out if I gotta
use discount code Esports Meta at checkout for your 10% off. Meaning we'll cut.
They do sell socks. How about Rebellion Essential socks? They're $10 for a pair of socks, man.
Wonderful, man. We should start like on the back of your wall. On the back of your wall, we should just start a sock collection. We just get one pair from every team that sells and just hang it in frames on your wall behind you. Come on, man. Oh. You know it's a good idea. You know it's a good idea.
Sure.
All right, yeah. Let me check out what. So one of the cool things about the Shopify Rebellion team and like the merging is now they're fielding teams in like so many different games now. And like I know Moist Critical was super excited about all that. Let me get a list of the games here. Yeah. All right. right. So kind of just going to the a Wikipedia page for it. Let's bam. Currently on the list here: Apex Legends, Dota 2, Guilty Gear Strive, Halo, League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, Rocket League, Smash Bros. Pro, StarCraft 2, Street Fighter, Valorant. I imagine that now that Ludwig is a part of it too, we'll probably see like a Rivals of Aether pop up. Maybe just representation at like the tournaments once that game gets into some of the bigger tournaments as well, or just sort of expand out further into the different aspects of, you know, this is, I think, might have been also why Ludwig was on his League of Legends arc, you know, trying to get good at that game, but then ultimately losing money for charity on Shroud's stream. Such a disappointment, but you know, cool to see. This is the kind of stuff we want happening. And maybe that was a point where FlyQuest player was like, hey, I have an opportunity to throw some shade that way and some good fun for this moment.
Maybe. But that's all I had. That's it.
All right. I think that's more than enough,
talk
man,
about
too.
Tyler 1.
What about Tyler 1? What do you want to talk about there? We were talking about the World of Warcraft stuff.
My favorite. No, just my favorite quote of Tyler 1. Just going like, "WoW is fun. League is hard."
Amazing.
And that was like after he beat Soda Poppin in a duel.
Yeah,
that was probably like one of the best things on the internet that we like were not like around for because we were off for so long. Yeah. But that was like one of my favorite things of like the internet over the last year so far.
There is a point where that felt staged a little bit, where Soda Poppin kind of like threw a little bit so that it went to the fist fight in the final round. What was that? There was it's a best of 9 series, I think it was. So first to 5 wins got it, and like Soda Poppin was just trouncing them in the beginning. Whereas Tyler 1, did you watch the fight? Did you watch it, the VOD?
I watched a good amount of it.
It was amazing. It was so much fun. And like, it was definitely some great content. Tyler 1 was just RP walking for half the duels. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, like Tyler 1, like, so that's the thing too, is like, if it wasn't like Tyler 1, like Tyler 1 is extremely skilled. Like in general, in League of Legends, by the way, he got challenger on all 5 roles.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's pretty. Sick.
No, like top challenger, and like he got up there in challenger, all 5 roles. He got medals of each role sent to him by Riot. But also, like Tyler 1 at one point was the most toxic person for League of Legends ever.
Absolutely.
But like he's the dopest dope now. But it was super fun. The whole thing has been super fun, except for a few like craziness, but we don't even need to go into that. But that was fun. Just a nice quote of "WoW is fun, League is hard."
Video gamers be gaming. That's great.
Yeah, that's
well, I think that kind of wraps us up. I'm pretty solid with what we've talked about today. I think we've covered a lot of different things, what to expect in 2025. Nick, as we, do this little bit of a segment outro here, other than the games we talked about, Marvel Rivals, Overwatch, League of Legends, what are you looking forward to in 2025 for video games and for esports in general?
I like probably the international events. Or like really what like I look forward to is going to be like all the international events. I really enjoy them the most. I think they're short. They're a little bit too short. I wish there was like they were doubled up, but that'd be cool.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of surprise releases we get. Because there's always like a thing that comes out of nowhere and just shakes up every year. They already announced Switch 2, which we didn't get to talk about because it was leaked at CES a little bit and then forced Nintendo's hand. Palworld put out a game while in the middle of a lawsuit with Nintendo. They put it out on the Switch as well.
Did they put it on Switch? Yeah.
So like,
oh yeah,
a double
big dick energy, bro.
A double whammy on that. we'll see how that lawsuit goes. Looking forward to some more information on that. But yeah, man, like it's going to be a lot of fun playing games this year. It's going to be a lot of fun watching these competitions. Looking forward to OWCS starting officially season stage 1 this Friday. Looking forward to seeing more fun league moments in the new LTA North, where FlyQuest is just going to go on their villain arc while Los Ratones goes on their hero arc, anime style. Nick, what region are they playing out of? EMEA? EU?
My God. Like I can't, like the alphabet soup is messing me up. It's like something with an, it's the NAC. No, that's not what it is. Something with an N. My God, how dare you do this to me? Right at the end of this, my brain was already shutting off. You
NLC, I think. NLC? Did I find it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Or the
NLC.
Okay.
But there's like there's another team that's doing the exact same thing after Los Ratones came out. Like that's another thing like I probably could have brought up too, is that there's another team called like the Ruddy Sack. And this is like the longest goodbye ever. So like it's done by I Will Dominate, another league streamer who has another team in that region. Okay. Called the Ruddy Sack. And they're not doing so well. They are not on an anime. And they're like in the anime arc, and they're like the B story. Where like nothing's working. You know? Like the other guys are like, yeah, and then it cuts back to the other guys and like they got torn clothes and like, you know, equipment doesn't work. That sort of situation.
Right. They're but it's fun. They're the classmate that's struggling a little bit and is a little bit jealous.
But they have good players too. They have real good players too. Yeah. They have like ex-pros from Europe. Great junglers, like another guy who's played his third role professionally. He's playing top now. So like, you know, they have some like really good stuff, but like their team is all content. Is 100% content. Like I don't even want it's not for the podcast. It's like you like literally like I will give you the small taste of it is like I Will Dominate said like, listen, we got our ADC is a challenger ADC who failed an IQ test. And like when you hear them argue, it sounds it's amazing. It's just super solid. It's absolute cinema with these guys. Like the Los Ratones has like probably like full package, whereas like Ruddy Sack is at a game. Glorious sound bites. Just glorious sound bites from that squad.
And you kind of expect nothing less from EU. We've talked about how like some of the most profoundly vulgar and amazing trash talk comes out of EU, and especially in Counter-Strike EU. Like it is chef's kiss. So sounds like there's a lot of that happening here with the Ruddy Sack and not so much Los Ratones, but Los Ratones making their meme team dream live in a different way. Make these moments happen anyway. Looking forward to both of those and the storylines that they continue to have in 2025. Looking forward to the rest of this podcast as well, Nick. Thanks for joining me today. This was a lot of fun talking about it.
It was an okay experience for me.
Okay. We'll try to sweeten the pot next time. Maybe I'll give you all you can drink coffee instead of just the one cup, you know, but you know, we got to earn it. Earn it. All right, dude. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching, thanks for watching along, sticking around for us. We really appreciate it. We're now streaming every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can check out a replay on Tuesdays, I think, maybe. But we'll be also around streaming. We're also on all the social medias wherever you're engaging with social media, we're there too. Hit us up, talk about video games. We're also gamers. We want to talk about these things. So let us know your thoughts on what you're expecting in 2025 and what you want to occur from esports this year. What do you want to see happen? You know, a lot there. But again, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate being here. Really appreciate watching along. That's it for this time. This has been the Esports Meta. We'll catch you next time.